Hi everyone and welcome to a new video, this time dedicated to speed and how improve how fast you ride on the road, whether it's to increase your average speed on Strava or whether you want to be able to keep up with your friends in the fast group rides in your local club or group. We are going to discuss not just marginal gains, but the most important improvements that you can make to your position, the kit you're wearing, the bike you ride, in order to make you faster. First of all, why do you want to hear from me? Well, I am at 52 years of age, still able, luckily, to be riding with my fast friends, younger and fitter, and I'm very happy with my results and I want to share my experience. You can check my Strava, you can see my segments, and I'm trying to maintain a good pace wherever I can. It has always been a priority for me. Yes, because I was lucky enough to start my riding here next to Richmond Park, and it was really a hard lesson to swallow every time I used to ride there with all the good riders whizzing past me. I really wanted to keep up with them, so it's always been an ongoing goal for me to get faster on the bike. At the same time, I think there's also a safety element. Yes, believe it or not, I think that on the road, faster is safer for you. And I'm not talking about descending at 80 kilometers per hour. I'm talking about maintaining a decent speed when you ride together with cars, lorries and everyone else, because there's a huge difference whether maintaining a average speed of 30, 32 kilometers an hour, 35, in the way you interact with traffic. And I found out one day when I joined a local group ride and I decided to go with a slower group to film, and I found myself a lot more vulnerable on the road. Yes, because if you ride at 24, 25, cars get very impatient behind you, they always tend to overtake, while if you ride at 30, 32, 35, they have to do a much faster maneuver, they had to improve the speed a lot more and technically breaking the law, because in London 20 miles an hour, 32 kilometers is always the limit, more or less. So they think twice before going through a dangerous maneuver to overtake you. So yes, there is an element to me that faster is safer on the road when you share the road with motor user. So let's start with the most important elements that, of course, affect the ability for you to produce speed and power, and is of course the position on the bike. The more you can connect your muscles, strength and power through the pedals, the faster you will go. Is very simple. So let's start with one of the most important elements of all, which is the saddle tilt. This was the subject on one of my last videos. This is extremely important for how you can rotate your pelvis forward, which is the baseline of the fast rider's position. So the ability to rotate the pelvis forward and go in a more aggressive position. Imagine a sprint runner in the 10-15 meters off the blocks. So that is, in my mind, the modern rider position, slightly move forward and able to produce the power, almost pushing down and back on the pedals. So if your saddle tilt is off, as in the nose even so slightly higher in the front, the reach is going to be compromised, the ability to rotate the pelvis forward impaired, and almost naturally you will be dragged back, and instead of pushing down and back, you will be pushing forward and back. So instead of going this way, you will be up, more exposed to the air as well, and you will be pushing in a more forward and backward position, which is not, in my mind, the best ergonomic way of pushing the pedals. So ideally you want to be able to rotate your pelvis down and back. So if you watch my videos, I'll explain better in this subject. Once we have the correct tilt, we are free to rotate the pelvis forward when needed. Then, of course, in able to produce the best power, we need to have a full contact with the pedals all through the bottom of the stroke. In other words, our saddle height needs to be at the right length. This is, of course, the most prominent element for you to be able to reach the downstroke in the most efficient way. and is connected as well with the cleats position. Oh my god, this is very dirty. When you have the cleats also backwards, you will be able to produce the most power in conjunction with the correct saddle height in order to have a really strong ankle lock at the bottom of the stroke. You will be able to produce the most power when your ankle muscles are locked for you to really put all the power on the downstroke. I can see a lot of riders missing this part where even so slightly higher in the saddle will lose the connection with their ankle. They point the toe, this muscle get disengaged, and with the toes pointing down, you lose a lot of power, especially in the downstroke where also you need to recruit your hamstring, so the leg is too straight. So again, there will be videos for cleat position and saddle height from me. If you want to check them out, they all form part of the best way for you to produce the most power on the bike. Assuming you have a bike that fits you, a road bike in good order, the moment you have set the correct tilt for the saddle, the correct saddle height, the correct cleat position, you will be able to get the best performance from that bike and will allow you really naturally to be faster on the road without even making any more changes. Then of course you have reached maybe the 80% of the performance that the bike can generate. And of course for me, I think I got long arms, a 12 centimeter stem and a completely slam stem work better for me to reach a more aggressive position and go down on the front of the bike. Well, yes, because the 80% of drag for you to propel you forward is caused by the body. To me, a lower position in the front allowed a better penetration in the air, and straight away I found out that a slam stem will get me fast on the road and use less power to go forward. And the next step for you to improve the performance once you looked at your position on the bike will be the components, and the wheels are maybe the first upgrade that you can do to make you faster on the road. And of course, deep profile wheels around 45 to 50 millimeters are the best compromise between speed in the flat, lightness for the heels, and the ability to maintain your direction even in crosswinds. So yes, you can see me with the beautiful Hypers. They are a staggered design in 46 and 54 at the back, and they maintain the speed in a fantastic way. So I started with actually a very cheap set of prime wheels, 50mm carbon wheels with round steel spoke. For the price, they gave an enormous advantage comparing to normal wheels. These are even better, of course, with carbon bladed spokes, much lighter, and the improvement of the carbon wheels is straightly felt. So you will be able to maintain the speed a lot better, over 30-35 kilometers an hour. The bike will just roll with a lot more ease. Your bike will not hold you back. The main important element for you to consider, it will be on the section of the wheels comparing to the tires. 105 rule, what they call, whether the profile of the wheel will need to be slightly larger, slightly wider than the tire. So you have to avoid the light bulb effect where the tire is wider than the rim itself, because that will impair the aerodynamics. So will reduce the improvement that you can make from your deep section carbon wheels. So whenever you want to go for a specific tire, either it's 25 like I ride, I'm old school as you know, or if you want to go 28, 32, make sure that the external width of your rim is also compatible with the ratio that you want to achieve between the tire and the rim. It will be a bit disappointing to select an aerodynamic wheel, you check the right channel width, you maintain the tire, but you're using slow tire and they don't have the rolling resistance that you deserve to be fast on the road. So in this case, I'm using GP5000 on my Canyon Aero. I've been using them for a long time, and they're still considered some of the fastest tires on the road before you go into really thin tires, or something that is developed only for TT that I will not really ride on the road because you might get a punch straight away. Next, I'm going to use this Michelin Power Cup because the Continental 5000 they became so expensive, and I used to pick them up for 37, 38 pounds here in the UK. Now below 60 pounds is difficult to find them, while the Michelin Power Cup in 25C clincher, this is the stuff I use. They seem to be as fast, and I'm going to try them next on the iRoad. And as you know, I'm not riding tubeless, and I don't intend to go tubeless for now, but to go faster on the road and improving both the weight of the bike and the rolling resistance, you can go with TPU tubes. These are right now plastic TPU tubes that are very small to pack, very light, and the moment you ride with them, you will not be able to do without, because they are faster and you can feel straight away how quick they roll. So yes, this is a really great win. The advice I want to give you here is when you put them on, not to squeeze the valve from the side, because it's a more delicate area. So when you put them on, yes, you need to squeeze the tire, but stay away from the valve area. Once we sorted out the position on the bike, the length of the stem and the height of the stem that makes you faster, you got your carbon wheels with the right ratio and fast tires and tubes, hopefully. We will then focus on what we wear, and yeah, I need to remember to breathe in, because yes, tight fitted clothing of course work. The body represents the biggest drag in the aerodynamics on the bike, and the flappy clothes will not work, of course, to make you faster. Now, there's a debate whether fully carbon soled shoes or slightly softer plastic shoes will have a difference in the performance. Now, the consensus there is not going to affect the performance of the bike. So in this case, my advice is to get the best cleat position. And at the moment you have the cleats in the right position, doesn't really matter whether you have a full carbon sole or a slightly softer sole. The power that you can produce is the same. Maybe there will be a comfort difference. Some say that fully carbon soles dissipate the pressure better than a softer shoe, but again, it will be a very subjective issue. And I always ride a aerodynamic helmet, whether it's a vented helmet with still an aerodynamic shape or an almost closed helmet, way more efficient than a wider helmet. So I used to have a POC or a laser that were slightly bigger, and then of course, even though they might have different characteristics, being more vented, yes, they won't be the fastest going forward. And if you want to reach your best and look at your daily Strava segments and you want to be on top like I always want to, the helmet also will improve the ability for you to go as fast as possible. And believe it or not, this is also a very good improvement that I made on the bike that made me faster. And I'm not talking about the aero bike or the very marginal gains that can generate. I'm talking about the big chain rings. The first time I fit a 53 ring, it felt fantastic. And that was on the old Ultimate and on the Velobuild aero bike. There's something about big chain rings that is incredible to feel on the road. I don't know what it is, but it's in conjunction with possibly the chain, the way that the chain goes through the gears. Yes, the big chain ring to me is a huge improvement that you can make on the bike. In this one, I have a 54. So yes, 54 in 11, and you will be able to reach, of course, the fastest speed. Now, to the guys that say that yes, even a 50, 34 and the 11 can generate a good speed, to me is way under-geared, because I will spin too much. I will not be able to maintain the same pace with a lower gearing than this one. However, you need to consider, of course, the drawback. Climbing, when you go into the inner ring with the back cassette that you have, to make sure that you will be able to climb the steepest section on your lowest gear. So in the Canyon Ultimate, I had 53 with the 36 inner gear, and I could still climb the steepest section with the 1130 cassette. So on this one, I had to play around, 54 with 40, I have to go 34 at the back. I can still manage as long as I can. This would be my gear choice. Whatever bike you have, whether it's an endurance bike, whether it's a race bike, whether it's a narrow bike, these are the fundamentals element that will make you faster. If your saddle tilt is wrong, you won't be able to produce the right power. If your cleat position are wrong, a saddle high completely off, you can have the fastest bike and you will not be able to keep up with your friends. If you want to have those marginal gains, yes, you can go with an aerodynamic bike. You can lose the cables if you want to and hide them inside the bike to gain that little extra, but these are very, very minimal gains comparing to what you can achieve with everything that we just discussed. And last element I want to touch is, of course, go to the gym. This is my personal advice. You can increase the load for your exercises to make yourself faster, to work on the muscle adaptations and really get the strength out of your body. So my advice is full body workout in the gym. It does make wonder when you ride the bike. Let me know in the comments what was the biggest element for you that made you faster. Let's discuss, because I think it's extremely important and extremely enjoyable for your riding. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!